Good morning, YouTube. How is everybody today? Welcome back to my channel. What we are going to attempt to do this morning is we're going to make another couple more emergency lights. I think today we're going to make a Federal 174 beacon ray. And then after that, we're going to make a CJ 184, which is a flat dome emergency light. But that'll be the second part. I've went ahead and took the time this morning and went ahead and made my bulb, which is the same procedure that we used when we made the Model 17 last week. No different whatsoever. Put a piece of tape on the put an actual piece of tape on the bulb itself. Used our diamond wheel, cut around it very gently, separated the top from the bottom, and then we hand ground it on our stone to our height that we wanted, which was 320 thousandths. Again, your handy dandy dial caliper always comes in handy. So we've ground this down. Well, it's about 319 thousandths, but who's counting? So we have that pre-assembled. And I went ahead and cut a wire nut. The reason why it's on this is I just actually chromed it about a half an hour ago, so it's still wet. I use a Molotow pen for that. Real easy to do. I'll demonstrate that real quick on our display piece. If we had this cut, you just simply take it and you color it on there. Just like, you know, when we were in kindergarten, just color, stay in between the lines, just like that. But when I cut that, remember I used my medieval looking saw blade that, you know, just turn it on. You want to grab it with something here and just go around it. It's very easy to do. But the first thing we're going to do here is just talk about some things about the materials that you might need. Well, you will need. So you'll need the glass bulb, obviously. We'll need to cut that. That is a C194 bulb. We have to cut and grind that down to get our height, 320 thousandths. And the inside of the glass bulb is 329 thousandths. And that comes into play when we need to make the guts for it, okay? That's why I've gotten here, well, here, for the skirt, we're using the orange wire nut. I cut it and sanded it flat. You can go anywhere from 300 thousandths to 280. You can even go as far as 270 if you want, if you think it looks a little too tall for the model that you're putting it on. Then we hit it with a Molotow pen. Usually I will, after I hit it with a Molotow pen, I would let this set for probably 3 days before I even attempted to touch it, but I think we should be able to maneuver it good enough for our demonstration today. Our internal guts, we will be using 4 5mm jewels. We have those here. And we have a piece of 100 thousandths rod that we have cut to a length of 100 thousandths. Let me double check to make sure that I did cut it to 100 or close. Yeah, we're at 112 thousandths, and that's going to be close enough. And the reason why is I'll show you that here as we go along. So your little 5mm fashion jewels, I don't know how well it's picking it up, but you can see one side is flat, one side has a semi-coned shape, rounded shape, but then there is a flat spot right in the center of that. Well, we need to figure out our dimensions for the inside, because we know the idea of the bulb is 329. So this one's measuring 0.80 thousandths, okay? I believe the first one I picked up was measuring 88 thousandths. This one's 80. So that should work out fine. $80. Pretty consistent. I've actually got two sets sitting out here, one for this light, one for the next. See, that one's about 78. So they're close. All right, so the first thing we have to do is take our piece of 100 thousandths rod that we have cut to 100 thousandths long, or thereabouts, and you want to add the smallest drop of super glue to it and place it right on top of that flat spot on that fashion jewel. Just like that. And you want to make sure that when you cut them, you might have to sand both sides flat, because you want it as parallel as you can possibly get it. Now these are, I don't really know what kind of plastic these are made out of. They're definitely not styrene. The super glue works well. The Tamiya Extra Thin, we will hit it after it's assembled with a little bit of that. But I will usually let this particular piece set 10-15 minutes. Make sure it's set up. And then we're going to add the other side. Again, the smallest drop of super glue. And then place it on top of the other one. Kick it off to the side. And you want to try to get these as parallel as you can. And one way I do that is, before they set up too hard, is I try to roll them and get it as close as you can. It's not going to be perfect. Things like that's going to happen. It's going to go flying off on you. Stick it back on there. Once you have it to where it looks about right, I can't seem to get that this morning. I've been up all night. I worked third shift last night. All right, let's start all over. Come back here. We'll put a drop of super glue on there. Take the other side of our bulb. Place it on there. You want to set it on your desk. Get it as parallel as you possibly can. It's not anything critical right now. Okay, you see we're somewhat centered because we're not rolling all over the table like we was a second ago. So we'll let this set up for a minute. The reason why we are careful with our measurements is we want this to fit inside here. So right now it's just a hair from going into the bulb. And that's a good thing. That's kind of what we're looking for, because we still need to remove the chrome from these jewels. So there will be some sanding down. We'll have to make sure everything's square and parallel. Now to start the other two bulbs, I'll lay one on the desk. Whoops. Another drop of super glue. Then you take the other two, lay it right down on top of it. Give it a little pressure. And you should have, which I don't have. There we go. You want the outside of these two jewels to be just to the outside of these two when we put them all together. And as you can see, we are fairly close. Nothing has to be perfect. And then you got one more bulb to put on there. Again, we're going to do the same thing. Drop of super glue. You're going to bring this up. Set it right down on top of it. As you can see, I am fairly square because it's standing up all by itself. Turn it this way. Okay. You want about 4 equal sides. Now, once you have all 4 of these together, the key to it, I have discovered, to help with this super glue setting, is just touch it with a little bit of the Tamiya Extra Thin. It kind of coats the super glue, and it will prevent the super glue from gassing out inside the glass dome if you happen to put it on too soon. But normally I would wait several hours before I touch this again, and I believe we will do that. We'll try to wait, but we have that together. We've got our skirt cut. We have our clear dome cut. So this is almost ready for final assembly. It's just a matter of letting some things dry. And we will move on to our CJ184 for the time being. We'll talk about that. And for the purpose of this quick tutorial, quick build, whatever you want to call it, I will be utilizing the same base for both of these lights, and we'll get a model car over here after I'm done, and we'll look at it. All right, so excuse me, for the CGA 184, if you're not familiar with what that is, just do a quick Google search of that CGA 184. It's a 4-beam flat dome emergency light with a taller base, but it has a actual speaker inside the skirt, which is why it's a little bit taller. And I don't do anything to replicate the speaker, so to speak. I just go with what it is. But we've done the same thing here as we did with the 184. We have 4 5mm fashion jewels, a piece of 100 thousandths rod already glued to one of them. We'll go through this step again. Hopefully I don't shoot these all over the table. But the dome, let's talk about the dome for a minute. Our dome on these is actually cut from a small jar. I get these jars at Hobby Lobby. They're called wish jars or something like that. I've seen some displays of them. The ideal is, you know, somebody that's doing crafts will put little things in the jar, and then they will recork it, and they will put some sort of rope or nylon around this and wear it as a necklace or something, as a bracelet sometimes, I think. But it took me about a year really to discover this. And the neat thing about it is they do come in 2 different sizes. And the larger one actually comes the same way. It comes with the cork in it with the little hook, but you can see how much larger it is. I use the larger ones on my my red and my slime green Alf fire trucks that are on my channel, so you can go look at those for size comparison. But when I use the larger one, I will use a 6mm fashion jewel instead of the 5, because the 5 looks way too small in there. But yeah, that's all it is. I do the same procedure. I'll put a piece of tape around it. I will just run my diamond wheel around it 2 or 3 times. The jars are a little thicker, but still they are glass. They will crack pretty easy, but you just have to be gentle. Let the diamond wheel go around it 3 or 4 or 5 times, and it'll snap off, just like the dome does for the beacon rays. Then you'll grind that off on the same grinding stone, and we have a flat top beacon. And we can pull this over, and you'll see that once that goes over it, I know it's hard to tell from up above. We'll take some shots from the side, but we now have a flat top beacon. I don't know if I can do this right, but once we remove the chrome, You can either color your bulbs, or you can leave them clear, and you can color the dome itself, which is what I think we're going to do with this one. Is I think we'll use Tamiya blue with it, and we'll place it on the skirt, and we'll see how that comes out. But on a side note, the cool thing about the little jar is this little guy right here. And I think you guys have seen all my models. These little hooks here. You drill a little hole in your extended front bumper or on your tailboard. Screw these in. They make fantastic tow hooks. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. Now these little jars, I've unfortunately cut the lid off of this, but these small ones come double stacked. There's 100 of them to a box. You can see this one's almost about halfway done with this one. But they're, I want to say they're probably around $15 for 100. I may be wrong with that, but you can find them in Hobby Lobby. Go back towards the jewelry, the beading aisle. You'll see these setting down on the bottom shelf. You just have to look around for them. If not, ask somebody for, if they have the small glass jewelry type of jars. They'll point you in the right direction. And it took me, like I said, it took me over a year to discover these, because I tried. You can't find flat light bulbs, like you can these round. So that was a long process. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to pause. I'm going to assemble this, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, and just like that, we are back. Here's our 174 with a blue dome. We left the interior guts clear. I can go ahead and take this off. Now, normally, what I would do is hit the top of it with Molotow pen. But for our demonstration this morning, I didn't want to make this a 2-hour-long video. Plus, I don't have any of it glued together. It's just kind of sitting there. But as you can see, excuse me, it's same procedure that we use to make our light for our vintage NYPD car as well. See if I can get this back on there now. But that's all it's missing right now is the Molotow on the top inside of it, and plus the fact I don't have it glued together. But that is the way that I make the 4-bulb 174 beacon ray. I've got this one. I've got this dome a little tall in this one. It could probably stand to be 10 to 15 thousandths shorter, which would make it look more to scale. The base is probably, I don't know, a little high. Looks a little large in the camera, but when it's off camera, it really doesn't look as large as it appears. But it still adds a bit more realism than anything you're going to find in a model kit. So I hope you try it. hope you give it a shot. I hope it works for you. Here is our guts that we made for our flat dome beacon. Again, I would have chromed all that and put that on there. The chrome would show through a lot better. I can't really tell if that's showing up or not. And we'll try to interchange this a little bit if we can. And the dome, or not the dome rather, but the base for this one is a little tall yet. It probably needs 15, 20 thousandths took off of it. But overall, the ideal is there. It needs some more took off the top of it, so that it'll set on the top of the base pretty flush. But that's how I make all my emergency lights. Cutting the glass, it's all the same, no matter what you're doing. The glass or the dome itself. It can either be the light bulb or the little jar. But that's how we do it. Use the wire nut for the base. So hopefully you found this video somewhat informative. I know I didn't go into great detail with it. Excuse me. But hopefully you'll pick up something. You'll be able to make it work for your models, and hopefully you can add some sense of more realism to the models that you're building. Here's our short base, short skirt 17 that we made last week. It looks good up there too. The short skirts come out a lot better than the tall skirts. I try not to utilize them a whole lot, but the one that I made for my NYPD car looks pretty good. But really the only difference in the two lights is the guts that you're putting into them. The 4 bulb can go on the short base just as easy, and all you do is pop your dome over it, and you're all set. Let me see if I've got something set up here where I can show you real quick. I do. I don't have it chromed, but give you the ideal. I don't know if I can pick it up. All right. Well, we won't be editing this out, but can't grab a hold of it. That nylon is really slick. So let me get this up here now. I really didn't let that paint dry very well, but you get the idea. Look really good if the base was chromed on it. And then this one will work up here as well. Excuse me. And that's our flat dome on the short base. And if it was chromed, the insides would stick out more, be more pronounced. You would still see the clear bulbs inside of it, but yeah, that's our CJ184 and our Federal Beacon 174. I hope you guys give it a try. Not the greatest video this morning. Like I said, I worked last night. I'm tired. I got a few more nights to work, and then the weekend's here, so this one don't come out too well. Maybe we'll just delete it and do another one. All right, I appreciate you watching. Everybody have a good day.